Flory Models kit review time. Today we've got Trumpeter's 1/35th scale Russian BM-21 Grad multiple rocket launcher. And don't we love a Russian truck? They just look so cool. Okay, so beautiful box art in the front showing him letting loose some rockets, as you can see down there. Usual run around the box. As you can see, we're going to get a little bit of photo etch, which is quite nice. Obviously just a few decals and the other parts that go down there. A little bit of history about it. 122mm MLRS system. And then we got down there, so your part number, or your kit number I should say, for this one is 01028. Okay, and your options, you've got 4 options down in there. So you've got sort of that one with a nice white edging, which is very nice type. And then obviously we've got desert and a couple of olive drabs and one in camo as well. Okay, so in the box, usual thing, Trumpeter's nice sturdy boxes. Okay, so if we have a look around in the instructions first. Okay, so usual thing, as you can imagine, we've got the actual trees all the way down there for the sprue layout. Then we're going to be making up the chassis, which is pretty straightforward, and then it looks like we've got quite a nice little detailed engine down there, which is a nice touch with that one. Okay, so chassis work, and then obviously we've got things like the relief springs and all the bits and pieces going down there, and then obviously we've got the transfer boxes, the drive shafts, okay, and all those areas, and the diffs all being put in. And then we've obviously got various hydraulic lines, various bits and pieces going down there, as you can see. Actually quite a detailed little kit down here. Fuel tanks being added onto the side. And then, as I say, we've got the front half as well from the four-wheel drive system. So we've got the diff system for that one, and then we're working our way through the tyres. We've got hubs, we've even got parts onto the hubs as well, which is a nice thing. The steering mechanism, all the usual things down there. So we're getting the gear in there and everything else. And then we're working up here on the cab. So we've got the cab floor, the seats, the driver's areas, folded down seats as well, which is quite a nice touch on the truck. Okay, and then working our way around, we've got the dashboard, all the different areas put in there, putting the glass in, obviously the steering wheel, the shifters, all the bits and pieces, putting the actual cab together, right the way over that, which looks good, and then dropping it all together. So we've got the cab being put on the front, obviously the front grills and everything putting down in there. Then it looks like we've got the exhaust pipe system being fitted in. All those different areas, as you can imagine, going right the way through. Then we've got the spare wheel, which looks like a very good spare wheel holder being fitted in there, puts it in there. Okay, and then we're off working on the actual bed itself. So we've got the rear bed behind the cab, that's all going together. Again, that looks really nice indeed, something very, very nice there. Putting all of those in, and then the turntable system itself for the MLRS system on the back. Okay, and then the actual rocket tubes themselves being fitted in, which is very nice. And it looks like you can either have them with the rocket modes in or out, depending if you want the fronts or the backs on them, just like that for the firing system. Then obviously that's being down and installed into it, the bed itself being fitted, and then dropping it all down into position. And then last up, you've actually got a very nice bonnet system down there as well, or hood, depending where you are in the world, being put in. And we've got various bits of photo etch as well for the actual areas down here at the back. So generally that actually looks really nice. Okay, so usual thing, we've got the colour call-outs in their usual guises. A Mr. Hobby, a couple of holes, if we're honest, in well, everybody else's. Just seems to be Mr. Hobby, we've got all the colours in. There's a lot of holes. Tamiya seems to be well covered in there as well. Okay, so usual things we're saying, we've got the green markings down there, or we've got everybody else's. There's no actual details of who they are. Okay, but it's quite nice in the desert one as well, and with the 3-tone camo, as you can see, all the sort of more MA system down there. As you can see as well, that's actually a very full box. That's pretty round in there. Okay, so if we work our way through, first sprue up. Okay, probably just bring that camera in just a tiny bit. There we go. Okay, so overall looking very nice. All the plastic seems to have a nice texture on it, and let's be honest, it's going to be on a truck. You want the texture, that way the paint's going to get a good grip on it, and for weathering and all those bits and pieces like that. As you can see, no problem with that all over. That looks very, very nice. So a little bit closer detail, we can see no sign of real flash or anything on the parts. They all look pretty good. As you can see through, we've got the instrument panel down on here, as you can see, with the dials and everything else. The floor looks quite good. I've actually said we've got that bonnet and all the other areas looking very nice indeed. Okay, and we've got the actual screen down there. Inside of the bonnet, quite a nice touch. We haven't got any framework, which you're assuming it would have a little bit of framework in there of some description. So it is a little bit void of that, but at least there's no big ejector pin marks in there, as there is no ejector pin marks in anything else. Some things obviously do, which aren't going to matter, but anything that matters does not have an ejector pin in it, which is a very nice touch to see. We have another bonnet, so it looks like we've got a couple of versions of this one, so just be careful on how we're doing it, because so we've got another bonnet just down on here, and again slightly what we've seen, although we've got the front grille down on here. We've got the fuel tanks, again no sign of flash, any distress or anything like that with these parts. That's quite nice, no problem with that at all. And then we'll look at that a little bit later, I think. So down here we've got the doors. Okay, so down here we've actually got the doors themselves and the mechanism for the inside. That's a very nice touch. These are the fuel tank holders, I assume, from looking back, and all the parts, the steering wheel. Little tiny bit of flash, just a little bit of a rub around with the sounding stick we can see on there. But there's no flash on the units, and the ejector pins are very, very shallow indeed, no problem at all. Trumpeter really have nailed the old ejector pin problem. Or it certainly feels that way, because no longer do you have that thing of ejector pins just here, there and everywhere. They tend to be only where it doesn't matter. Okay, so for instance down in here we've got the chassis, which is obviously the inside for the chassis has got some little ejector pin marks in there, but obviously we're not going to see that anyway. The outer ones are okay, but generally, as you say, you can see on the diffs all the different areas like this. No problem at all. Very nice relief springs, all very nicely done. All the areas, actually, it does seem to be very nice, very crisp. Good detail on it. Down here we've got a little bit of flash just down on these areas. There's a little bit here and there, but luckily it's not on any of the parts. As I said, again, these ejector pin marks, they're all flush or lower, so that's good. Generally, no problem with that at all. That looks very, very nice indeed. Okay, and into the next sprue. Okay, so down in this one, as we can see, we've got some more of the items. So we've actually got some more chassis work, various parts, the step areas with texture, some of the dials areas, all really nice. All of this stuff you just know is going to weather really well. Dry brushing, a little bit of wash work on there, and you're going to be good to go. That's that spare wheel, big C holder that we've seen before. And again, no problem with any of those. Generally very, very nice, clean, crisp molds, as we were saying. So that's actually really nice with those. Okay, so more rockets. Let's do this big one here for the bed. Now this is obviously for the rear bed for the rocket launcher. As you can see, very big part on this one just down in here, and the others. And the checker plate isn't like checker plate, it's like drilled up, but they're all nice and sharp and crisp. No problems again. And again, that bed has ejector pins down in here, but the bed itself is completely void of anything that's going to be seen. So that's really nice with all of these. And when you look at it, you can see nice texture, got the grill work over it again, a little bit of dry brushing, a little bit of weathering on this guy. Be absolutely fantastic. I have to say, it took my eye, this one. I've always fancied, you know, your traditional Russian heavy-duty truck with a rocket system on the back. You see them all too often, and I was thinking that would be something really nice to do. So prepare yourself. You could see this as a future video build here on the site. Okay, so more stuff. I'll tell you, it keeps giving. There's plenty of sprues down here and plenty of stuff to keep you busy. So again, looking down here, we've got a little fan for the engine, obviously the radiator cover for it, and then working its way down. All of these small parts, nice, clean, crisp moulding on all of them. No problem with that at all. As you can see, it really is very nicely done down in there. No problem with any of those. Okay, so we've got a little bit of pipe work, exhausting systems coming off of this one. As I say, they've got the grill and everything, as you can see on this part, very nice indeed, no problems. Even the burring, there's a little bit of burring on this, but nothing heavy duty that you would really complain about. It's very nicely done, all of it. Happy with that. Okay, right, let's go over this side. So this one here's a dupe, because obviously it's a duplicate because we've got the wheels in there and the various things. And again, just with looking at it, you've got beautiful details down in these hubs. The bolts are all sharp, okay, and everything else like that. Another set of release springs down there, and hubs and drives, and we've got some little clips down here and everything else. But generally, as I say, pretty faultless, really. Very nicely done. Very impressive how these smaller parts are zero flash. Very nice tight sprue gates. Very, very close. After working on Tackums, they're quite chunky. These are very fine, the actual sprue gates that hold these parts on. Nicely thought out, actually, on all of those. Okay. Then we've got, won't bother getting this guy out, we've got a little bit here. It's obviously specialist to this one on sprue K. Something for our rocket launcher, no doubt, on the back. Okay, so the actual rockets themselves, these are going to be the same as what's on the other one. It's another set. Obviously we've got 3 sprues of this, okay, to actually making up the rocket system itself. So we won't bother looking at that one, but we can take a look at this one. And as you can see, again, very nicely done. Now all these tubes, polished molds, very slippy, very slidey, no problem at all. But the deck itself, you can probably see the difference in the shine. Flat moulding textured onto there, which is really nice. And again, these are very nicely done, perfectly flat. A couple of locating pins just to put the tubes on there and everything else. Really very nicely done. And you have got the spiral from the weld running through those as well. So again, real nice touches with those. Very nice indeed. Now some of the smaller little parts we've got down in here. Where should we start? Photo etch, I'll leave it down in here because obviously it's easier to see. Got a little bit of photo etch, that's that plate that needs a little bit of bending just for the rear, but we've got the areas down on there like that, nice little grill work, and obviously for the headlights we've got some photo etch as well, just to keep all that in scale. That's very nice. Decals, I don't see much point in getting these out, but we've got an instrument panel and just some on the sides, and some UAX 6235, okay, for the number plates. Pretty straightforward on that. Okay, tyres. Let's have a look at a wheel. So 6 tyres, obviously in a bag. We have a centre seam, quite a small one to be honest, running around in there, but that'd be easily just to sand off with a coarse sanding stick right the way through. We do have some nice writing on the tyres, you can probably see, catch it in the light down there. All the parts and the sidewalls beautifully done. No problem with that at all, and you can see really nice tread. But don't be frightened to attack these with a very strong sanding stick, just to tear them up and to make them look a little bit more worn and everything else. So last up is the clear parts. Okay, and Trumpeter hopefully won't fail us with some gorgeous crystal clear glazing, and they haven't disappointed again. Even the headlights with that texture in there looks really, really nice. Very nice indeed. Fantastic, that beautifully done. And again, it's lovely to see Trumpeter taking the time to keep things separate bagged all the way through, as we've just seen, and then to actually put a little bit of foam around the clear parts just to make sure they are nice, crispy, you know, kept out of the way, not rubbing up against anything other like other manufacturers we have seen. So there we go, that is the BM-21 Grad multiple rocket launcher. Again, it's one of those kits, you look at it, you've seen the amount of parts, the detail that goes in there is absolutely extraordinary, and real no problems with flash, there's no sink marks, no nothing, so you know that's going to make a fantastic kit, so highly recommended.